Hello everyone, my name's Stephen. I'm from London originally, but I came up to Hull, the north, and never knew what the north was before, about 17 years ago to do biology. And then I got married at the end of it, and I stayed in Hull. So now I've been here almost half my life, and quite like it, so I'm staying here. That's me, really.
That's a common story, isn't it? I've got 10 years on me for being in Hull now. That's it. It gets stuck into you, doesn't it? So if you were to look at your life then, what were you invested in before you became a Christian?
I didn't have a clear definition between before being a Christian and after being a Christian. So I was brought up in a Christian household by my parents, very faithful to God, and lived a Christian life and showed children what to do. So I made a decision, I think, well, roughly about 12 or 13. I thought, oh, this is real, and I want to, say to everyone that, I love Jesus. And then it was, but being in a Christian bubble, not that I was being sheltered from anything really, but it's a case of going to a Christian school when I was in primary school, C of E, and then secondary school that was mostly Christian. Seen a few things, but still it was a good school, so most people well behaved. But then rubber hits the road really. When you go to university, I left. I'd really never been in the north at all. I'd been into Scotland driving in the car, but I had no idea where Leeds was or anything. Never knew the bridge.
Don't need to go there, mate.
No.
That's all right. Leave that.
But it was just a case of, right, I say I'm a Christian and I've got a faith. I'm now in the world in terms of there are loads of non-Christians around. And it's like, oh, what's your faith about? And then really having the chance to tell people and also show by the way that you live that, you're not going to get smashed every night and do whatever you want to do, because it's like I'm living for Jesus. So that went all right, actually. Not too bad.
Good, that's grand. Well, no, that kind of asks my second question. How you came to faith is really, it was when you came to uni and actually you had to start thinking, oh, do I really believe this? Not just going off of parents' faith and whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. It was just a case of, right, you're stepping outside, this is the trial now. I didn't feel like I was, before then, I was a Christian, but it's a case of there's so many Christian influences around me. That was just life. And then suddenly it's like, oh, there's thousands of people on campus, and many of them have no idea about God or care about God. And then I was there, their mates in lectures and so on. But it's like, oh, right, I actually have a faith, and now I have to talk to them about it. And it just comes up in your life because you do things differently. It's like, instead of, just going out for some fun in the afternoon, it's like, oh, actually I'm going to a prayer meeting. They're like, oh, you believe in God? I'm like, yeah. Different.
So that's really interesting then. When it was your own faith, not just piggybacking off of your upbringing like that, did that change the things that you invested in then? Was there a big change?
I think it was a gradual process. But if you're really applying yourself and actually speaking to people saying, this is what I'm doing, and then you're going to change what you really want to do with your money and your time, it's like you then realise, I guess, with hindsight, oh, I actually am properly investing in serving God, because it's not just about my life right now and just having fun. It's like I can have fun as a Christian as well, as long as it's within God's law. But it's a case of I'm doing all that and trying to serve Him for eternity, really, and that's fully worth it. It's not just a case of having 3 good years at university of a bit of fun and then you get into a boring job and then that's it. It's a case of it's the start of investing and looking forward to receiving the benefits later.
Have you found that there's been things that maybe surprised your colleagues or people around you, maybe when you were at university, that you're invested in things different to what they are?
Yeah, I think I work in the food industry now, in food factories, but that was the more obvious point, because when I was working in quality and we had to be the policeman on the factory floor, making sure people are keeping to the rules, making sure that all your food's safe here. Well, when people are free to do what they want and there's not accountability, and the police are also free to check things, there's a lot of wrong things, obviously, because people are bad. And there's a lot of cheating. And it's like, oh, I can't cheat and say, oh, that check's so fine, rather than saying we have to stop to make sure that food's safe. But then everyone's challenged, like, oh, you're not like the rest of the policeman on the factory floor because you're not cheating, falsifying. It's like, well, yeah, because I have to keep to the rules. It's like, oh, you don't have to. You're like, yeah, but I'm actually serving God in what I'm doing. And like, just such a challenge, because I could falsify and save myself an hour's work. I was like, actually, I'm serving God, and it's really hard to write 4, not 5. but actually that's why I'm doing it for God. And so for that factory, it's just a massive, massive change, and it's stuck out like a sore thumb. So people are initially annoyed, but then they realise that actually you're being honest, and that can be appreciated.
Yeah. Well, I expect it does like fly in the face if the culture is actually you just got to get the job done. You just got to do what needs to be done. It's very different of investing in, well, actually, there's a God who sees what I'm doing, and I'm living to please him. It's very different, isn't it?
That's right, and he sees my paperwork.
Yeah.
So it's like, yep, I've got to do the right thing, because I'm serving someone who's always watching us, but also doing the right thing, trying to protect people, but also being someone who says he loves God, therefore obeys what God says, which is not to lie.
Yeah, grand. So we looked a little bit at the resurrection. Now, I hinted that there's lots of things you could say about what this why question, why was Jesus raised? There's loads of answers to that. We could do a whole series on it if we wanted. Maybe not now. But for you, Stephen, how's the resurrection of Jesus changed your life? What does it mean to you?
It means so much, because I think in this life where we have everything, and in the West, and it's just everything it's so easy to get, and sometimes you think, oh, we're great, life is easy, but then there's always at the end, like, we are going to die. We might die young, we might die old. I think in the 3 days we've done these talks, 500,000 people have died in the world. It's a huge amount. And what really hits me about resurrection, I remember burying my grandparents, like lowering them into the grave with my cousins, and it's like, they are believers and love Jesus. But it's a case of, I really believe that because Jesus has died and has power over death, it's like, they may be dead now, but he's going to raise them from the grave, because he was able to do that. And so that takes away the fear of what can happen in life. I mean, think about the war, and there's so many doom and gloom things out there, but then I'm reminded that Jesus has power over everything. God's in total control, so I don't need to worry about life so much. Like, be reminded of who God is. So if I'm a failure as a father, or I'm messing up at work or something, it's a case of, right, trying to do better. But it's a case of God is in control and knows these things. I don't need to make it the be-all and end-all, because the be-all and end-all is eternity with God.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Stephen, so much. I think that's really encouraging. I mean, I speak to a lot of people, and they have a vague idea of an afterlife, or that they'll be all right in the next life. But that's all it is, really. It's a vague hope. I guess I'll be all right. I guess God will let me in if there is a heaven. But for you, and actually, when something real happens, like you lose your grandparents or whatever, and you're thinking about where they are, resurrection of Jesus gives you a clear confidence in where they are, what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
It was grand.